This is Jeff.
Hello.
I just spent 2 weeks making my first 3D game.
Welcome.
A game where this suspiciously fancy businessman sells you upgrades. A game where this giant mecha frog shoots its babies at you. And a game where dead chickens become soccer balls.
Nice.
This is Fight Island, an absurd 3D roguelike where you, whatever you are, must survive increasingly ridiculous challenges using your sword, fireballs, and amazing parkour skills. Between challenges, you'll buy upgrades from Jeff, that guy from before. Jeff's a businessman. He doesn't question why you need to fight these giant robot amphibians, he just wants your coins. Let me explain how we got here. I've been making 2D games for a while, but my first attempts at 3D felt trapped in boring, flat worlds. Look at this dog walking prototype. The mechanics felt interesting, but the environment felt flat. So I decided to try Terrain 3D, Godot's de facto standard terrain tool. After wrestling with it for a while, I sculpted my first island. After adding some grass and a water shader, suddenly I had a world that felt alive. But a pretty island isn't a game. So I grabbed a free animated model from Quaternius, this weird ninja guy. He came with a sword already attached, saving me from needing to learn how hands work. I got him moving with some recycled code from my dog walking sim, and in no time at all, the little ninja could run and jump around the island. For about 5 minutes, this was magical. Then it got boring. Enter the chicken. Quaternius has a pack with this odd round chicken. The model just felt right as a first enemy. Obviously, given its lack of legs, it bounces. So I had made life, but it was now time to make it nasty, brutish, and short. While the chicken would try its hardest to peck you to death, you could attack it back with your sword. The chicken was a simple enemy, but I really wanted to make combat feel great. Hit flashes, blood particles, and sound effects. And perhaps most importantly, I figured out how to turn dead chickens into ragdolls of a sort. It was satisfying to watch their bodies roll into the sea. Was this premature polish? Absolutely. But it sparked joy, as fans of Gary's mod can attest. Nothing says game feel like physics-based corpses. Around here, I had a sudden vision for what starting a level should be like. Player falls from the sky, text appears, banging music, pure hype. Did it work out?
Let's go.
And if you're falling from the sky at the start, you might as well fly away at the end. I soon realized that I'd basically stolen this directly from Monkey Ball. But hey, if you're going to steal, steal from the best. Next, I spent far too long obsessing over the island's atmosphere. Look at that subtle grass movement, the tasteful thickness of it. Oh my god, the cherry trees even gently sway in the wind. I went through several iterations of grass before landing on a GPU particle system that could handle dense coverage and fade nicely into the distance. Another bunch of iterations were spent figuring out how to make the infinite water not tank the frame rate. I kind of started to regret making this an island. The ninja model had a punch animation that looked suspiciously like spellcasting, so naturally, I added fireballs. I probably spent a little too long making the perfect fireball. Shader deformation for the sphere, particle trails, explosion effects, and after all this, discovered it was pretty difficult to actually hit anything with it. Camera angle restrictions made aiming up and down impossible, and even aiming left and right precisely was tricky. The solution? Secret auto aim. If you're roughly pointing at a chicken, the game quietly helps you out. No one needs to know. But infinite fireballs with auto aim definitely made the game too easy. So I added a mana system along with a cooldown, and suddenly spells felt like a precious resource that had to be traded off against the riskier melee combat. Then I added the dash, because movement needed to be more interesting. Hit shift and you'd zoom in any direction in a puff of particles. To keep track of its cooldown, I added another progress bar showing the time until dash was available again. By pure coincidence, my work on this game overlapped with the GMTK Game Jam, the biggest jam of the year. With 2 days left, I had a wild thought. Could I actually submit something? But to submit, you actually need a game. This forced me to figure out what this game actually was. Here's what I came up with. Everything happens on this one island, hence the name Fight Island. You face timed challenges, are assigned ranks based on performance,
Nice.
get coins, buy upgrades from Jeff,
Hello.
Welcome.
and see how long you can survive. Classic roguelike structure. Speaking of Jeff, finding the perfect shopkeeper was crucial. When I saw this low-poly businessman model, completely out of place in this fantasy world, I knew he was my man.
Hello.
Welcome.
My kids named him Jeff. The name is probably stolen from the Roblox game Doors, but you can't trademark Jeff, right?
FBI,
Jeff greets you with an unsettling robotic
Hello.
voice apparently ripped from a speaking 80s toy. Hit him and he says, in a hilarious monotone, he's perfect. The shop mechanics came naturally. 3 random upgrades appear. Buy one and its price goes up. Yep, Jeff understands supply and demand. This way, coin rewards can increase throughout the game while maintaining balance, and this also encourages players to diversify their upgrade choices. I had a million ideas for upgrade types, but started with the most obvious, improving HP, mana, dash cooldown, and lives. But where do you find the time to shop during a timed challenge? My solution? Stop the timer when objectives complete. Then Jeff appears, you shop, and finally jump in the pond to continue. Why a pond? No idea, it just felt right. Mixing up the pacing by alternating timed challenges and chill shopping ended up feeling pretty good. Fighting chickens forever would get old, so I added variety. First, a faster, more aggressive frog enemy. When in doubt, add more amphibians, right? Setting up proper ragdoll physics for this one was trickier, but the result? Poke its corpse with your sword and it'll roll around. Perfect. Then came a parkour challenge on upside down floating rocks. Get to the top. Simple, but as you upgrade your movement abilities and skill, you can complete them faster and faster to achieve higher ranks. And finally, chicken soccer. Kill a chicken, knock its corpse into a goal.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and we can't forget the menu, the most important part of any game. Just look at this camera transition when you open settings. So nice. Okay, now it was time for the star of the show. I'd been staring at this absurd frog mech model since day one. Look, it can twerk. Somehow, I instantly knew it had to shoot these smaller frogs from its cannons. Apparently, it's frogs all the way down. I don't make the rules. I added weight to its steps with sound and screen shake. 20 tons of mechanical amphibian, 0 tons of mercy. The baby frogs swarm, while you desperately dodge the mech's kicks. I'm no expert on Souls-like combat design, but I do understand pure cinema when I see it. By now, the GMTK jam had ended. I hadn't submitted anything, and realistically I probably never had a shot. But the deadline had done its job. At least now I had a real game loop. After 2 weeks, Fight Island is a playable loop with a reasonable amount of variety and absurdity. The pacing works, frantic timed challenges followed by calm shopping sessions. The basic mechanics of combat, parkour, and getting goals seem like good pieces to build on. Overall, the foundation is solid. This break from my main project, Merchants of the Stars, was exactly what I needed. That game has been stuck around 350 wishlists for ages, and I wasn't sure if it was my marketing or the concept itself that was holding it back. But while building Fight Island, my subconscious has been working on solutions. I'm heading back to Merchants of the Stars with fresh ideas and renewed energy. But Fight Island isn't going anywhere either. I have too many ridiculous ideas to abandon this world. Expect more robot amphibians in the future, and maybe a few new unhinged characters. Want to see where both games go? Subscribe for more devlogs, and if you're curious about Merchants of the Stars, wishlisting it on Steam really helps me. Thanks for watching. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to do some shopping.
Hello.
See you next time.
Up, 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 up.